just when I thought I was out, Apple pulls me back in for something that actually does matter to me beyond like Apple stuff. But Apple has made an announcement about their creator apps today. They have announced the Creator Studio suite of apps. And so I thought I would take a minute and pick a bone or two about Apple and their suite of creator apps. Now, if you're not familiar with what apps Apple has in their creative library, they've got Logic, Final Cut Pro, they've got Motion, Compressor, let's see, what else? Motion, Compressor, Main Stage, and they're bundling a few more things in here. The Pixelmator Pro, which is an app that they bought recently, they're bundling in as well. So it's $12.99 per month if you want to subscribe on a monthly basis. $129 for the year if you want to subscribe on a yearly basis. And that to me is, well, we all know that applications have gone from being something that you can buy to something that you can lease, which is unfortunate because, you know, people's work lives go on for longer than they might want to subscribe to a service. But Apple has decided to go this way, and it's kind of a bummer because Apple, for the longest time, Logic Pro was like $299. I think to buy $199. I know I've been using Logic Pro for music stuff for I don't even know how many years, since before it was purchased by Apple. eMagic, a company called eMagic, made Logic, and then Apple eventually purchased it from them to make Logic and GarageBand, and then you know, I had to buy it when I used when it was eMagic, and then when Apple bought it and put out Logic 9, I had to buy it then, and then when they put out Logic 10, I had to buy it then. But that's been like 11 years ago, and Apple has been really good about making upgrades to that program and bringing in new features and just really supporting it for something that, I mean, $200-300 a pop can't really make too much of a dent in Apple's bottom line, but it does keep people in their ecosystem because you can only use Logic Pro on an Apple machine. You can use it now on the iPad as well as on the Mac, as always. I also use Final Cut Pro. I haven't been using that as long. I don't really like it, but I did buy it when I decided it was time to graduate from using iMovie for my videos. I did buy Logic Pro or Final Cut Pro, and I went on to that. Now, there was a big hubbub about Final Cut Pro when it first came out in this newest version. Final Cut had been something that, again, Apple purchased from another company, and they changed everything from the traditional timeline that you would use to chop things up to this sort of magnetic timeline where everything like glues itself back together when you make a cut. And for a lot of professional folks who were using Final Cut at the time, that was kind of a drag. I used to use the Adobe suite because when I taught at a university, I could get a yearly cheap faculty cost for the subscription. And so I used to use Premiere Pro and, of course, like all the other Adobe InDesign, excuse me, Adobe InDesign, all that kind of stuff. So when I left that job and Adobe kept raising the prices of their subscription, I quit using that, started using Final Cut Pro. So now you can still use those applications if you bought them a la carte. I also have Compressor. I also have Motion. I used to have access to Main Stage that came with the purchase of Logic Pro, and then it got taken away at some point, but I never used it. It's more of a live music kind of front end that you can use for using Logic's internal stuff for for all that. So what all do they have in here? Let's just take a look. You can get it starting the 28th of this month, which is a couple of weeks away. So we've got new icons, which I guess is nice. Let's go back here. Stop making that. Stop going. Yeah. Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pixelmator Pro, which I've never used. I thought it was like I thought it was like a mobile only thing, but I guess not. Gosh darn it. There's no way to stop it. Keynote, Pages, Numbers, Freeform, Motion, Compressor, and Main Stage. So all of that, if you don't already have all of that stuff, then all of that's going to a really good value for somebody who wants to come in and get that stuff. I mean, $12.99 a month, $129 a year. You use it for 10 years. You've spent $1,200, and that's not bad. But what really matters is whether or not you still have access to your files once you're no longer subscribed, and those kinds of things. And just the philosophy of being able to use the stuff whenever you want to use it. The pricing models are here. New subscriber, $12.99, $129. Students and educators, $2.99 or $29 for the year. That's a good job. That's a good deal. 3 months free to get you really hooked before they get you in there. So here's Final Cut. Now, one thing that they say is going to be different about this is the subscription stuff is going to get some features that aren't going to come to the standalone apps. I don't know exactly what those are going to be. I think they're going to be AI related, which could or could not be that big a deal. I don't really. There are certain AI things that I would really like to have in my like editing app, and Logic doesn't have them so far, or Final Cut doesn't have them. Now it says here, instantly find the moment you're looking for, track down a shot without scrubbing by using word search. I want to be able to do what you can do in DaVinci, and I think Premiere has this feature, and I know I can do it on standalone AI apps like Gling, where it ingests the video and then it spits out a transcript and you can edit via the transcript. But I don't see any edit via the transcript thing here. And that to me is such an easier way to edit. Gling actually goes through and does a pass and cuts out all of your ums and ahs and does voice enhancement and stuff. So, I mean, that's cool. But if Pixelmator Pro, again, I don't really know much about it. I guess Apple used to have an app called Aperture, and it was kind of a Photoshoppy kind of app, and that app went away. And now it's back again in the form of Pixelmator. Well, this isn't back again. They bought Pixelmator Pro, and so now they have a Photoshop kind of visual design app in their ecosystem, which I think will make a lot of people happy. But a lot of people have already bought Pixelmator Pro as well. And then Logic Pro, you get new session players. You get a new so you've got a synth player, as well as bass, keyboards, drums that adapt to your musical style in real time. I've used this before. I like to use Drummer when I'm like sort of building a song, because it can be pretty cool to have it sort of like listen to what you're doing and accent and play along and all that sort of thing. But I don't really I don't use it as much now. I prefer building from loops or playing things myself or something like that. I've never been able to get anything good from the bass player or the keyboard player, or, I guess now there's synth. Maybe I'll try. But one of the great things about Logic is, especially now that it works on the iPad, is that you can go from working on stuff in Logic on the iPad and open it up straight in the Mac and work back and forth. You can record stuff in your voice memos, which if you're a songwriter, this is a really great feature. You can record stuff into voice memos and then import those into a Logic session. You've got and you can master out of here. They have an AI mastering thing and all that kind of stuff. Beat making tools, a lot of which have always been there. When Logic was first a program, it was actually built more for MIDI and for electronic music, and then it evolved over time. And when Apple bought it, it became more. They just continued to develop it as more of a full-featured audio and MIDI kind of app. So a lot of these beat making things have been here, but now they have these little boxes that you can press and do your own mixes, and they have libraries of stuff from well-known producers or just folks that are things that are of a certain time or style. So I guess that's pretty cool. This kind of some of this stuff brings Logic and GarageBand closer and closer together. I've never been a big fan of using GarageBand, but I do still really like Logic. And there's not really a better songwriting app out there if you are a songwriter. And now that they're putting in all this focus on AI, so that you can get more and more finished tracks without having a full band hanging around, eating your chips, then that's good. I mean, they're also bundling in Keynote, Pages, Numbers, and Freeform, which are their sort of productivity or like office style apps. Keynote being a presentation app, Pages being a word processing app, Numbers being a spreadsheet app, and Freeform is more of it's the newest one, I guess, but it's like a mind mapping kind of thing. So these things, from what I understand, will also continue to come, because they come free on every Mac. These things will continue to come free on every Mac, but they will be part of this. So it's like not really much of anything. You'll still get to use them. So there are some questions that they have here in an FAQ. I think we should look at a couple of them, but I have one big question that I haven't found the answer to, and maybe you out there have found the answer and you can tell me what it is. But so how do I download Creator Studio from the App Store on the iPad or on the Mac? So we know Final Cut, Logic Pro. Can I still use existing versions of Final Cut, Logic Pro, Pixelmator Pro, Mainstage, Motion, and Compressor? Yes. If you already own those things, the standalone apps are available for a one-time purchase or a re-download from the App Store. I don't know if that means that if you have it on your computer, you're going to have to re-download it or what. But I hope I don't have to re-download it. I get it. Keynote and all those others will still be free. Continue to use those. What happens to project content when my subscription ends? All the project content you create with an active subscription to Apple Creator Studio, including any images you generate from the Content Hub, remain licensed in the context of your original creation. I guess that just means you can't change it. Projects in Final Cut, Logic, Pixelmator Pro remain on your devices, and you can copy and share them to another device or open and edit a project you need with an active subscriber. Keynote, Pages, Numbers, Freeform doesn't make any difference because they're free anyway. So why did they bundle them in with this Creator Studio thing? I don't know. Maybe just so it seemed like you were getting a lot more for your money. You are getting a lot for your money. You're getting a full-fledged DAW. You're getting a full-fledged video editing suite with not just Final Cut, but with compressor and with also compression motion, and then you're also getting Main Stage and Logic Pro. So you're getting a lot, but free. Just so you know, Freeform and Keynote Pages, all that stuff is still free. Now, I have a question. If you use any of these applications instead of the more traditional like Microsoft Office versions of them, like most people do, or the Google versions that also exist, if you use these instead of those, please tell me down in the comments, because I like Pages. I just don't use it ever. So I'd be curious to know if you use it at all. Hardware version. What hardware do you need? I mean, it's pretty much the same as what you've needed to run these apps for a while. iPad OS 26 though for Logic Pro. Oh no! It requires. Okay, yeah. So I haven't upgraded my apps to my Logic Pro to Tahoe, and I haven't upgraded my machine to Tahoe at all because I'm just afraid that things won't work correctly and I'll have to spend time fixing them. And I'll upgrade to Tahoe probably like in another 6 months, maybe. But it doesn't really matter. You can share with your family. What are the requirements for the Apple intelligence features? Now, the one question that they don't answer here is when Logic gets updated or Final Cut Pro gets updated to a new version. So the reason I'm asking this is I've been using these for long enough that I've paid the money, and then I've gotten new updates that have, tons more features, and I haven't had to pay any more money, which has been great. I did appreciate that I wasn't getting gouged for like the new version, and a lot of companies do that. So now that there's this subscription service, if Logic becomes, Logic 12 or whatever, or Final Cut Pro has a major update, do I just not get the special AI features that they're holding back, or do I not get anything? I have to like capitulate and buy or subscribe to the software. I don't know. I think this is an interesting and not all that unusual move for Apple. Apple has been slowly turning everything into a subscription because that's where you make money these days. And I guess we can look at that as a good thing, because if the hardware is good enough to last for years and years and years and years, and they got to make money somehow, I guess. But I'm suffering from subscription fatigue with streaming stuff and apps, and everything else is a subscription now. I'm kind of just over it. I just want to own the thing that I'm using, in as much as you can. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Would you, if you haven't been using these and you've wanted to, will this open it up for you to be able to do it instead of spending money on a one-time thing? Or is this the kind of thing where you just don't want to get involved at all? You'll keep using what you have. And if you already own these things, what are your questions or concerns? Let me know down in the comments, and we'll have a discussion, just like always. So I'm going to be back soon with a video about a song that I wrote in the AI, and so stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, bell notify, etc., all those things. Until the next time, I am out.